And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey's Researchers Report. I'm your host, Carrie. Joining us tonight, she's the creator of, oh, I'm sorry,
Crypto Normal Encounters with
Miss
B.
Moss.
Moss.
Crypto
No,
Normal Encounters with B. Moss on YouTube. I apologize. If you can't tell, I've my usual field office job was just a field job today, so I've been out in the sun quite a bit, and we'll try to struggle through this. But I think we'll be all right. I got a few updates. Daniela's, last I heard, doing much better. Hopefully, she'll be out of the hospital. I know she's ready to get out. Um, Probably sometime, maybe this week or next week, and she'll
oh,
be
I'm
back
sorry
with
to
us
hear that.
soon. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
she's doing much better than she was. I think they've got all the underlying conditions taken care of, and most of the things that were wrong with her were just symptoms of the actual problem. So the
Oh,
symptoms are
wow.
gone,
Yeah.
and she's back to normal. Uh,
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
yes, she's much better. Real quick. Oh, come on, Carrie. Shout out to Miss Shirley Cox for that PayPal donation. Thank you very much, dear. And a little bit of sad news. Miss Pam and Paul, where we went, Mark and I went and filmed this lady. She lost her brother today. So
Oh, wow.
we send
All
our
kind of
condolences.
sad
Yeah,
news. Yeah,
thoughts
my
and prayers.
condolences.
Thoughts and prayers for Pam and Paul and their family. But all right, let's get into this. Miss Bettina, how have you been?
I've been good. How about you, Carrie?
Good, good. Just working a lot here now lately. I've got 5 more days and I get to go home. I know we talked about some of your encounters last time, and I really wanted to get you back to talk about some others that I know you've had.
Hmm.
And you've seen Dogman. I mean,
Yes.
that's if you. I don't even know you could break that down into a percentage of people in the world. A lot more people have seen Sasquatch than Dogman, at least reported that.
It's a
And
lot more people seeing them now than there,
yes,
it seems like than there ever was before. And it seems like it's becoming so commonplace now that it's just like going into your backyard and seeing anything else. I think a lot of times people just don't know what to look for. But when I had my encounters, I well, the first encounter, I never expected something like that to be back there. I knew they existed, but I just never thought that I'd see one for myself. So after I saw that first one, I just went from that point on to taking pictures all the time when I'd be outside, videos and all that stuff because I know when there's one, there's more. There's not just that one back there. There's got to be others too.
right. Well, why do you think that is? Do you think that it's the frequency is not more? There's just more people coming forward because there are places now for people to go and talk about their encounters and comfortable places. Uh, or is it? Are there more? What do you think about that?
I think personally, I believe that now in today's society, we live in a world where everybody has a cell phone now. Everybody is out in the woods more often. We're going further into the woods, into their territory. More people going out hiking, camping, and then even in your own backyard, people are, out swimming in the backyard, or like, people go outside to take a smoke. I mean, so it's several different things, grilling. So I think that one of the reasons that we're seeing them more often now is because we're going further into their territory, then going in and cutting down trees and stuff like that. So we're taking away some of their habitat. And I think because of that, they're coming more into ours.
Yeah, could be that. When Jeff Townsend, I always had trouble with Dogman, and it wasn't that I didn't think people were seeing something. I just thought maybe they were mistaking a Sasquatch, because they can
Hmm.
have a bit of a muzzle. Some of them can have that very long, uh, you know, protruding face. So that's kind of where I was until I talked to
Hmm.
Jeff Townsend. Jeff Townsend is he's I don't know, he's like Mark Newbill to me. You guys know Mark Newbill, just full of integrity. And when he told me what he had seen and described it, then I was pretty sure that these things are actually out there. and that it's not a Sasquatch. Um, do you want to kind of
Mm-hmm.
get into? Do you remember? Do you want to maybe touch on some of what you talked about last time? I know I'm not. I can't remember. Maybe you can remember exactly
Yes.
the ones when you talk about him. I'll remember them. But
Yes,
you want
I
to?
can touch on some things real quick for the people who may not have been here
Yeah.
when I was on the show last time. Basically, I already knew about Dogman. I knew that they existed already from having years of listening to shows like Brenton Sawin's Mysteries to Search, Big Condiff Show, Dogman Encounters Radio, and several other cryptid shows that were out there. So I knew about these things, but I never thought that I would actually have a sighting or see one myself. Um, so basically, I can't remember what year I started watching those shows, but 2013 rolled around, and when 2013 came around, I basically, during hunting season each year, my husband at the time, he would go hunting, and sometimes we'd go on for 3 or 4 days at a time. And so instead of spending my weekend alone at home, I would just get me and my little dog. We'd go visit my parents on the weekends. And it was November, so I know it was November because I know that the following week was going to be Thanksgiving. Because I remember thinking about the food that we were going to eat and all that kind of stuff. But so on this particular night, I think it was about 8 o'clock. I got to my parents' house, and usually whenever I pack for like, even though I'm gonna stay for like 2 days, I'll pack for 4 or 5 days. So I always have like a suitcase in the back, and then everything else that I carry, like in the front seat, on the floor, and in the passenger seat. And on this particular night that I pulled up next to the curb, right, on the sidewalk by their house, I'm parked. My headlights are shining straight ahead because I didn't cut the car off right away. I just kind of put it in park and started like looking over into the passenger seat, gathering everything that I could gather from the floorboards that I put down there and off the passenger seat so that I could gather everything I could so I could get as much as I could in my purse before getting out of the car, because even though I'd not seen a dog man at that point, I still knew that things like that were out there. And so I kind of would get creeped out about that. And one thing I forgot to mention here real quick is that there's the woods borders my parents' backyard. It's like directly behind their backyard, and there's a trail that leads directly into the woods. So when my headlights are on, they're shining straight down that path, down that trail. So I gather everything I could get off the passenger seat and off the floorboards, put it in my purse, and then after that, I look up from everything I was doing. And when I looked up and looked straight ahead, I looked and I'm like, I know that's not what I think it is. And so I put my high beams on. When I put my high beams on, I saw a jet black dog man, um, but it had its back to me. It's already on 2 feet. It's standing on 2 feet. Its back is to me. When I put the high beams on it, it turned around slowly and looked straight into the car, straight into the windshield, and straight into my eyes. We made eye contact anywhere from between 8 to 10 seconds. So I'm looking at this thing, and as I'm looking at it, Gary, like a tear starts to roll down my eyes, and a tear starts rolling down my eye because I'm like, I can't believe I'm seeing this right now. Is this?
Sure.
I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I'm looking at it. This thing is about 8.5. I'm gonna say 8.5 to 9 feet tall, and that's just a guesstimate. I'm not the best at gauging height, but I know that my tallest cousin is like 6'5", and it was way taller than him. I wasn't that far away from this thing. If I'd gotten out of the car and taken anywhere between, and I'm not good at gauging distance either, but I am with steps because I've counted the steps back from where I was parked that day to where the dog man was standing that night. So if I got out of the car and took anywhere between 60 to 80 steps, I would have been face to face with this dog man. I'm going to describe for the audience or whatever that's viewing right now what this thing looked like. It was jet black. Um, it was darker than the darkness. One thing I also forgot to mention before I go too far, this is about 8 o'clock at night. And on this end of the street that my parents lived on, they lived in a cul-de-sac, so there's a few other houses down there, but it's a dead end on the end of the road they live on. So there's not many street lights. And this house that they live in was a ranch style house, and it's built in the 80s, so there's not a lot of lighting out there, and they never did put any up. So when I put the high beams on this thing and it turned and made eye contact with me, What it ended up doing next, like it just, I'm looking at it, it's looking at me. Most people talk about Dogman having these amber eyes. The one I saw didn't have amber eyes. It had like a really beautiful turquoise or ocean blue eyes, and they were luminescent. So they were still self-illuminating eyes. They just weren't amber. The dog man that I saw didn't have the German Shepherd style head. It didn't have the elongated snout or the tall pointy ears on top of its head. It had a head more like, it had a broad head, more like a Rottweiler or a pit bull. It had the cropped style ears, and it had the cropped ears. It had the upper body was like a bodybuilder. It had the abs, it had the pecs, it had that tapered waist, and then the lower body, the leg, where the dog hawk style legs, like when you stand your dog up on 2 feet. That's what the legs were like. This thing was massive. I can't even begin to try to gauge weight. I'm not good at that. But this thing was massive. It was very strong, very muscular. And in that moment when I saw that dog man standing there, I just remember, and I don't remember if I said this out loud now or if I said this in my head, but I remember saying, please God, don't let that thing walk over here, because if it comes over here, this will be one of those times that my automatic doors don't lock, because sometimes that would happen. Sometimes you could just walk up and open the door and it's supposed to be locked. So when I said that, the next thing I heard in my head was, oh, it's just you. No big deal. So I'm sorry, I got a piece of hair in my face. Oh, it's just you. No big deal. So when it said that, I heard that. And like I said, I heard it in my head. I didn't hear like a voice talking like we're talking out loud, but I heard almost like, I guess if you say like that telepathic speaking, it was telling me no big deal. Then this thing casually turned its back. It didn't take off running. It didn't go on all fours. It casually turned its back and continued on what I believe was its original path. I think it was getting ready to go deeper into those woods. When I came up and parked, I think I probably had just caught it coming out of its hiding spot. And I think it was getting ready to head down there. But most people who pull into the neighborhood are pulling further into, they would come into the neighborhood and make a left turn to go down to the other houses. I don't think it expected somebody to come up and stop right there in front of it where it was. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying with that. Like, I basically spotlighted it.
Yeah, yeah. Your headlights were right on it. But I mean, how how terrifying. It's hard enough to suspend disbelief as it is, but when you're sitting there looking at it, you have to run through. Am I sane? Am I just seeing this? You know, and then obviously you
Hmm.
snap back, and there you are, and there it is. I've been
Oh
there,
yeah.
not with a dog man, but you kind of run through. You're frozen first,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's just that would be normal for anyone. But
I just
to hear
no. I'm
that,
sorry. Go ahead.
that's okay. I'm just saying, to hear that, to me it seems so unnatural. It seems so unnatural to me. This thing is, or these creatures, beings, um,
Hmm.
have to are created. In my mind, they are. But, and I normally don't reference any form of authority like God or the Bible or anything like that, because people may not believe the authority that I'm referencing, right? So,
Hmm.
but I will say this: when some things that I've read and heard about the Nephilim,
Hmm.
the angels that mated with humans to, or the angels that mated with humans to create the Nephilim. Well, they also mated with other animals.
Hmm.
So to me, if that's true, then this is maybe a possibility for this, or some kind of genetic experiment. But we've heard about these things for, they're on the walls of caves, thousands
Yep.
of years
Pyramids.
old. Sure, the pyramids, Anubis, was
Hmm.
worshipped as a god. Where do
You
you think
know,
these creatures come from, in your opinion?
I okay. In my opinion, I'm just writing down some notes. So I won't forget some things I want to say to you. But I think that for me, I do believe that part of where they, I believe the Nephilim theory, like you just mentioned. And I do believe, I have read the book of Enoch. I've seen some different scriptures and stuff like that in the Book of Jasher and stuff like that, that actually goes into talking about a cryptid that was found in a cave. It had the head of a bull and it had like the body of a man. You have Greek mythology. When you look at that, you've got them talking about the satyr, the minotaur, cyclops. I mean, you got Egypt and you got Anubis, and then he had a brother who was also a dog-headed man, wept while wet. Saint Christopher was depicted as a dog-headed man, and then some of the people who came here, the early settlers, had also mentioned about the fact that when they came here, that they saw some of these dog-headed race of people, even down to saying that some of them actually spoke a language was kind of like a, I don't know, it was kind of a bark type language or whatever. But I do feel like that they were a creation of the fallen angels, or if you want to call, if you want to go outside of that, maybe you call it the Anunnaki or um, sky people, whatever you want to call it. I do
Mhm.
believe that they were created by some higher power, and I believe that there was some genetic splicing that took place. And I do believe that the animals were defiled as well as some of the humans were. The human result of the fallen angel or the titans, the human result was the giants. So if you take, and this is just a theory on this part, what I'm about to say, but if you take a fallen angel or some other Nephilim or any other type of God type creature that has the ability to create things, if you take that and you put that with a dog or a wolf, then you're going to get, I would assume, a giant dog or wolf. The same way as you would get if you have a fallen angel procreating with a human, you're going to get a giant human. So I believe that that's why we have so many different variations of this, and that's just my personal theory on it. Um, and I say that because the reason I say that I believe it has something to do with some other supernatural type being is because the fact that there there's more than meets the eye with these creatures. It's not just only the flesh and blood aspect of them. You also have the other things that make it even stranger and creepier is when you see them right before your eyes disappear, or you see them manifest before your eyes, or you see them cloaking, or you see part of the body. At one time, you might see the head, neck, shoulders, an upper body, but then where there's an opening in the branches or trees below where you should be able to see the legs and lower body, it's just not there at all. In addition to other things that they do as far as, and I don't know about Dogman, but I know they say Bigfoot causes people, people who've been zapped. What do you call that?
Could be infrasound. Could be, we're kind of leaning.
Infrasound.
I'll lean toward EMF, but it
Okay.
could be both. Two things can be true at once. So it could be infrasound. We just detect high levels of EMF, and some of the side effects of EMFs match
Mm-hmm.
better than infrasound in some situations.
Mm-hmm. I just think that there's more than meets the eye to them. You've got times, and like if we're talking about Bigfoot, then you look at that, and then you have times where people say that they track the footprints through the snow or through the mud, and it's gone so far, like into a field or into the wilderness, and then you get to a certain point, and the footsteps just completely disappear. And so when you look at stuff like that and you look at the aspects of these things, and then you even look at some of the times, one of the weirdest things that I found with some of the dog man that I recorded and taken pictures of, some of the weirdest things that I found with that was that, and I know this is going to sound weird, but I promise y'all I'm not lying about this. Like the times that they've been able to not only cloak, but go completely invisible where I didn't see them at all, but caught them on audio after the fact, after going back and listening to the audio recording. They can be captured at times where I don't know if sometimes I've heard people say that they can growl and they've heard them bluff charge or grunt at them and stuff like that. I've never heard that in real time, but I did capture that on audio and ended up accidentally deleting that when I was trying to clean the files out of my phone. But I heard I recorded like 11 minutes worth of video. I'm sitting underneath my parents' carport, just recording the woods and, looking at, everything that's going on like back there. And I see them looking. I mean, I often saw them back there. Almost every time that I'd be outside with these dogman sightings, after that first one, I would always be smoking. And I'm going to bring that up to y'all in a few minutes, the significance of smoking. But so basically, I'm sitting there and I recorded 11 minutes of audio on my phone. Went back inside, listened to it. When I got inside, I was like, oh Like it was bad because I listened to, like, if I were to tell you how close it was, and I didn't hear this in real time, Carrie, but if I was behind you right now and I kind of leaned forward, like I'm getting ready to tell you a secret in your ear, if I leaned that close to you, now imagine that if you take a dog coming up behind you, sniffing you, like it's like sniffing the side or the back of your head, sniffing you, grunting and sniffing, grunting, and it was some other weird noise that was making. There was a loud metallic. I don't even know how to call this. Martin Groves. I interviewed him on my show a couple of weeks ago. When I interviewed Martin Groves on the show, he mentioned that when he was out in the woods, deep in the woods, when I think it was his first dogman sighting ever. While he was out there, there was no other sound, period, that should have been able to make this noise at all. But while he was out there, and he felt this strange sensation, the most intense, loudest metallic crash that you could ever imagine happened while he was out there. There was no explanation for it. Now, I can honestly say that I've only heard that loud crash, I'm going to say twice. I've only heard that sound twice, but I have heard the metallic scraping. That metallic scraping sounded like if you took one of those metal dumpsters or something like that and dragged it across concrete. Really loud, really big, metallic, and it was directly behind me. None of this was going on, or it wasn't where I could see it or hear it in real time. It wasn't until I went back and listened to the audio. So you can capture them on audio even if you don't hear them in real time.
Right. Well, you know, our range to hear is not that great. They tell you anything less than 20,000 hertz we can't hear. That's what is infrasound for us. Below, I believe that's the threshold. But we can sometimes pick up, depending on how powerful it is, frequencies that are lower than that. But your microphone picks up so much more. I mean, even the one on your cell phone, anything else picks up so much more when you play that back and amplify it. Especially if you have an editor, because if you record something that's infrasound and play it back, then it's just going to be playing back the same sound that you're not going to hear anyway. But if you put that in that editor, sometimes it picks up, and like for me, if I put it in my editor, I've got a preset, and I recorded what I think is either an EVP or it's them talking. But it just sounds so. It's in our ninth documentary in Nebraska with the Omaha Indians squashing Barry Webster. And it was, I haven't recorded anything before or anything since, just in that area, and it was such a weird feeling. But I think the only reason I heard it, played it back, was because of the way I had my EQ set in my editor, or I don't think I would have heard it anyway.
I caught that sound, or them making these weird sounds, that metallic dragging of. I've heard the crashes. That's been twice, and I think it's been twice for that loud metallic scraping noise. It just sounds like something huge in metal being dragged across concrete. Never heard it in real time. But I feel like that when it comes to these creatures, I can't honestly say fully what they are, but I will say that I do feel that yes, they are part flesh and blood, and I do also believe that they're also supernatural creatures as well. I will say that because of their abilities. The mind speak is one thing. You asked me what do I think they are. There's so many different facets to it. If you look at like the ancient Sumerian and all the ancient texts, all these different civilizations throughout the world, for the most part, have seen them. Native tribes have seen these things. Native people have seen these things too. And so when you look at that, you just have to look at what was being presented in these pyramids, what was being presented on these cave drawings. These people were not just depicting something, if they could have been, but I just don't think that they were depicting something of their imagination. I think that they were depicting something that was commonplace to them, that they were used to seeing at that time. And I just believe that there's nothing new under the sun. And I believe that these things have been around for thousands of years. And I think that they are going to be possibly making themselves worldwide known to people, more so than what's been happening right now with the government trying to cover up Sasquatch and Dogman sightings for whatever reason. I have no idea why they're doing that, but I do feel like that. I saw somebody's comment earlier. They said, I wish somebody would shoot one of these things and bring in a body, and that would prove it. Well, to that person, just know that there have been bodies that have been apprehended, like when people have actually killed them or harmed them or have actually been hurt themselves. There have been times when these secret agencies or whoever they are, whatever part of the government they are, when they come in, they take the body away. They threaten the people. I've had quite a few eyewitnesses on my show and who I've talked to personally where they threaten them. They tell them, no, you saw a bear. They threaten their pension and everything else in the sun. That body's not going to see the light of day. And I also believe that they do have probably some secret underground bases. This is just my theories, y'all. But I think that they do have these things. Yeah, I think that they have some alive. And I think that they also have some dead. And I think they also have extracted DNA from these things and possibly could even be creating other deviations of both or multiple different types of cryptids. So I think that bringing in a body is not going to do anything because the body's never going to see the light of day.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I say that too. Whoever you call, it's not going to get any further than that. Even at law enforcement, it's never going to get to the news. The news doesn't want to touch it anyway, unless they want to make fun of it. Now, someone said that there was an account that had been taken seriously. I want to say it's North Carolina or something. I'm not sure. Here recently, I need to circle back to that because I didn't hear or see anything about it. Real quick, I just want to say if we're going to save the last quarter of the show for questions from the chat. So if you guys have a question, just do me a favor, put all in capitals, the whole thing, and put a question mark at the end, because that way if someone wants to put anything else all in caps, if we don't have a question mark, I won't save it. Go ahead and do that, and we'll save those for the last quarter of the show. And there's this one right here. Oh, nope. Kerry and his wife, Linda, did a series, travel shows, different locations, interviewing people and videotaping their Odysseys. Yes, we did. And you can actually watch those if you go to the channel, the homepage, go to playlists, and you'll see there's a bunch of different playlists in there, research report, all the Christmas stuff that we do, and you'll see documentaries. There's 15 of them in there, and you can watch all those. We still do those. We still do them. I've got 3 coming. I'm almost done with Mark and Melanie's crypto reality stuff, but I just haven't been able to get to it here lately. So I apologize for that. It is coming soon. I'm going to be going back down to Florida to film again with Mark next week when I go home. But just want to let you guys know that if you do have a question from Miss Bettina, to put a question mark of it all in caps, I'll just save those for later. And we appreciate you very much. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I know you had encounter. Have you ever seen Bigfoot?
I've never seen Bigfoot. Don't let me forget, Kerry.
Or an experience you think you might have had?
Well, I do have a picture, and I'm going to send that to you because since I've never seen Bigfoot, it's harder for me to gauge those and pick them out of pictures than it is unless it really stands out. I do have a couple of pictures that were taken out in the woods of Tennessee out where my ex-husband was hunting. He didn't see what was there, but I saw it. And I'll send those 2 pictures to you so you can check those out. But I can't say I've ever had a sighting of Bigfoot. I did have more dogman sightings and encounters after that first one. I guess the other ones would be more sightings. And it was all on that property. But I guess one of the ones I want to say real quick is that I mentioned this earlier and I said I was going to come back to it and I kind of forgot. But smoking has been brought up a few times. So when it comes to smoking, and I don't know why this is, I've heard plenty of people on different shows, even my experiences and some of the guests that I've actually interviewed. A lot of the people are outside smoking when they have these sightings and encounters with dogman. Is there a correlation with that? I do know that I heard a podcaster say that tobacco and cologne draws them in. I don't know how true that is, but I can say that every time I was out there, I was smoking when I saw them. Sometimes they can stand there.
What keeps them away? Do they
They
say what
didn't
keeps them
say
away?
they didn't say what keeps them
Tell me
away.
that.
So it's scary though when you look at it because like
Yeah.
what keeps them at bay? There's no reason. If you see how large these things are, how tall, how big, how strong they are, their speed, their stealth, what's keeping them from coming into our houses more often? Because we do know that there's cases where they have come into people's homes. What's keeping them from coming through? Is there some type of veil? Do you think? And then have you ever considered like where are they when you don't see them?
Well,
That's a question for you.
what I think is just because you're not getting evidence of them around doesn't mean they're not around. I know people
Hmm.
use that the the lack of activity as evidence for them migrating or going somewhere else, and I don't know. Maybe that's the truth. I don't know. To me, that's not good enough. They're so elusive and so good at staying away from us. And we're talking about Sasquatch here. Maybe obviously Dogman too. But
Hmm.
Dogman seems to care a little bit less, I think, is just how it seems. But I don't think there's anything in it for them. I don't think that anything is maybe it is grounded in morality to a degree, but I think it's for Sasquatch, it's more predicated upon survival. And if it's not a
Hmm.
benefit to them, then and maybe it's a part of weighing those things out, the benefits of it. And so I think population density, where these creatures could be, I think national parks are a place you're really going to find Sasquatch. Patches of woods that are close to people, but still they can
Hmm.
get away from you. But I just think that if there's nothing in it for them, they're just not going to mess with you. That's just how it seems. Now everyone's heard of missing 411. If you've been in this
Hmm.
subject at all, if you haven't been in it long enough. David Paulides and the missing 411. Something's happened to those people. We know Sasquatch are out there. Obviously, apparently Dogman is out there too. Could this be the
Hmm.
culprit? You kind of have to point that way because some of these encounters and some of these disappearances make zero sense until you add one of these to the equation, that this could be the possibility, that it could be maybe they're taking them underground. Uh, it's rare for someone to just disappear without a trace these days. Cadaver dogs, thermal imaging,
Absolutely.
thousands of people out looking. Usually they're going to find, the person. But
You,
go ahead.
well, Carrie, I've heard some cases where you had people talking about when a dog man was present or a Bigfoot was nearby. They're out camping or whatever they're doing, fishing, some outdoor activity. Their dog became aware of that, being or whatever that creature, either one of those two, being there before their owner was ever aware of their presence, and the dog or animal, whatever they had with them, mostly dogs, would not go any further. It wouldn't go any further. And they would cower or go into their crate or kind of cower and hide and wouldn't come out of the truck, stuff like that. So when you look at that, it makes you wonder, um, there's something else to it. So even going back to what you said about the missing 411, in those cases, there were times when the dogs would stop and wouldn't go any further. Or I guess maybe sometimes it might be when it's going across water, but I've heard a lot of people say when there's been a kill, or some of the people who have dogman or Bigfoot regularly on their property, and they have, not livestock but wildlife like deer or something like that that's been killed. No other, I guess, prey type animals, predators, or the predators would even touch the carcass. So, is there something else to that with them? Um, Almost like with alien activity and the radiation surrounding that, other animals and stuff don't want to come near that. Is there a supernatural aspect to it? Do you think?
I
And
don't
is there a
know.
supernatural aspect? Do you think to the missing 411?
Could be. I tend to try to keep it. I try to keep my feet on the ground as much as I possibly can. When I've exhausted every possibility I can think of that's not paranormal, that's when I go there. I don't automatically jump to this must be
Mm-hmm.
paranormal. I try to imagine the possibilities of what could happen, how this could have happened before any of
Mm-hmm.
that. And then if it can't be explained that way, then that's what's left. You eliminate every other possibility until there's no other answer. Then this has to be something that is outside the norm, which is what paranormal is. That's all that means.
What do you
Is
think about those footprints that disappear in the middle
I've
of
never
nowhere?
seen good evidence for it. I've asked
Okay.
for it and asked for it. I've heard it plenty of times. And the closest thing I saw was a set of tracks that stopped, but it was about 20 feet from a tree line. And to me, that's just a leap.
Okay.
So I need to see that evidence. I need to see where those tracks stop, and then I want to see the investigation where they went and looked, make sure this creature didn't backtrack through its own tracks. There's things that to me that have to be eliminated before I jump straight to, well, something either swooped down and picked it up, or it just disappeared and went into another dimension or whatever. That's just
Mhm.
me. So
Mhm.
I've heard these things, and to me, we if you come across, especially nowadays, you got your phone. If you come across something like that, you got to take pictures and video and document this as best you can, because if this is happening, we need to see it. I'm not saying I don't believe people. That's not what I'm
Mhm.
saying. I just want to see what they're talking about. If they did the due diligence to check and make sure that there's not tree line 30 feet away. We know these creatures can jump. We
Yeah.
know these Sasquatch. Mark saw one. The first one he ever saw, full body, was going through the air, and it was at least 30 feet. And it was said it was
Oh
like
my
it was
God.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and in the place we go down in Florida, these creatures are everywhere. You talked about not ever seeing a Sasquatch. Um, I I think people don't broaden the search enough. What we're finding are a lot of green faces. I showed you the banner pic, right?
He
Um,
did. That was
anybody that's
amazing.
anybody that's never seen it, I'm gonna throw it up here for you again. This is the one we call banner. Got a lot of images of him. That's the full shot. This is just a still frame from video
I see it, but can you point to it with your clicker mouse? And
right there.
it looks like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, and Jesus did this for us. He sharpened it and color isolated. That's not the leaves. That's
That's
a
amazing.
yeah, and
And
that's
I have seen that before.
there you go. So I think more people should be looking for something maybe green, and if you really do some critical looking at it, you can actually see his outline on the right side of that small tree. You see where this is not the right one. This one, you can see where he's sticking out on the right side, and on the left side, that's not sitting down. That's standing up. Those palmettos are almost 6 feet tall. So he's 10 feet. We went back and measured. That's all in the film. If you guys haven't seen the film on Crypto Odyssey, our first film in the series, Impossible, that's in there. But the whole clip is in there, and the wind is blowing, and you see everything moving except that. So if that's leaves, why isn't that moving? I just think they need to broaden what they're looking for. I think these creatures have been caught on camera plenty of times. They've just been people are looking for something specific. I was looking for
Absolutely.
something specific, something dark. What I had seen is what I was looking for.
Hmm.
But what appears to be the case is that these creatures there's a very broad spectrum when it comes to how they look, from light gray, very almost
Hmm.
white skin, to really dark black, almost purple black, like shiny patent shoe leather black, and
Yes.
then everywhere in between that achromatic spectrum from black to white, and then different colors of hair too. And you probably get a lot of different combinations. We have certain criteria for things we look for when we're looking for these creatures peeking at us through the bushes. Behavior is one. What is it doing? Well, is it got its hand up here and is it looking off? No, it's looking at you. That's the first
Hmm.
thing we look for. And is it behaving like it's hiding? Yes. Does it have facial symmetry? Does the cone head? Can you see the shoulders? Anything else? Those are the things we look for. And I'm gonna tell you what we're doing. And I just I just got started preparing for this yesterday. Members only Saturday, 50 Bigfoot pictures. Some from me, some from Crypto Reality, Mark and Melanie. But I'm going to show just for the members. We're going to go through and I'm going to show you guys 50 Bigfoot images. I've got more than that, but some of these are what you're going to see in the Odyssey that's coming up. But that's going to be a members only show Saturday. That's going to be at 8 o'clock p.m. just for members. So let you guys know, be prepared for that. I do have some members content coming for you guys. But that's kind of what I think when it comes to looking for Sasquatch. Is they're hard enough to find as it is. And when you narrow your search down to just to try to confirm what you think you're looking for, it's hard to do. Look, it's hard to get past our own biases as human beings.
Have you ever found that it looked? Have you ever found, Carrie, where it looked like on some of the pictures that you looked at? Does it ever look to you like the faces are overlapping at times where it gets confusing?
We've caught them. They like to bunch up together. Some of them do, especially the smaller ones that we found. Well, we've got some we call the ugly bunch, and we've got them. Got several of them. As a matter of fact, I've got there's a picture right here, another one I'm going to be showing you guys. But more than just showing you the pictures, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pointing out what we're seeing to you guys, and on that show Saturday. But let me find this, and I'll show you that there's a couple of them in it, just not super clear. Forgive me, it's taking me just a second to find. All right, here's this right here, and it's really zoomed in, and I know you can't see my cursor here.
Screen is flipping.
But you know what I'm gonna do? I'll do this while you're talking to us. I'm going to grab.
Well, the reason I asked you about the overlapping faces, I've seen that a whole lot with Dogman pictures, and usually you can see ones that you think might be a pup, and it's like, I'm not sure because there's too many. It's too many faces like overlapping to the point it's like, well, is this one face where it looks like the eye is here, but then it looks like, well, no, here's a whole other head, and it's hard to make sense of it a lot of times. What I usually do, Carrie, and then you can go ahead with the picture. I was going to say what I usually do when it comes to Dogman or any pictures like that I'll take multiple shots, consecutive shots back to back in order to be able to see if I can capture movement, because their movements are so subtle a lot of times that you won't see it. You won't see it unless they actually want you to see them move. Or sometimes you might catch it, but there's a lot of movement when it comes to these creatures. You just got to know what to look for, just like Carrie was mentioning.
Right.
Earlier.
Look, this is what I equate it to. I equate it to reading an X-ray. When you look at an X-ray, what do you see? You see a regular person that hasn't been trained to look for anything else. You see the bones, you see the organs, you see the tissue.
Yes.
You have to be trained to look for the anomaly, what shouldn't be there. To me, it's equatable, except in the bushes are the bones, tissue, and organs, and the Sasquatch is the anomaly. And they're hard to find because they're hiding. And it's just that simple. Sometimes they get bold and you get to see a little bit more. You'll see a full face, shoulders, part of a shoulder, or they'll, just showing part of their face.
Brow ridge.
But yeah, absolutely. But I'm going to show this right quick. Just bear with me. I'm getting a little faster at it. Not a lot faster, but okay. You see my cursor?
Yes.
It's probably small. This guy's okay. I'll zoom it in a little bit more. Okay, here's this guy right here. This is his nose, his brow, his two eyes. You can see his apex head. This is a leaf or whatever. But in front of him here, and you can see that's hair right there. Looks like hair. You can see there's something right here. And I think this may be part of a face, possibly. He's behind it, whatever this is. This is a hand. I do believe this is a thumb because you can see the thumbnail right there. But right back here, I think they take and they'll have like sticks or leaves or something in their hand, and they'll move it. Because you see this right here.
Mm-hmm.
And this hand in the next image is going to be gone, and he's going to turn his head. But this in front of him, this is another one. This is not him. This is not him. This may be his hand, but and then
Right,
there's
right
another.
next to it, like right that way next to that.
Yes,
That's
right.
a whole two black eyes and a nose.
What,
Like
right
I
here?
see I see the main one you were talking about right
But
next to that
you
tree.
see,
But then,
there's leaves right here in front of this one's face.
yes, I see
Okay.
that.
In the next picture, you'll be able to see it a lot better because this is going to be gone. And this hand is going to be gone. This head is going to be turned. But this right here, whatever this is, I believe this is another one in front of him, maybe his shoulder, but you can see there's part of it right here you can kind of see. But you can see him and his body goes on behind, like shoulder. This is kneeling down. This is not standing up. These are probably 5 feet tall, so 6 feet. They're
Yeah, I can
squatted down
definitely see
there.
that.
So let me get this next image.
That's a good picture.
Wow.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great. Well, we pan slowly. And this is probably maybe 5 seconds or 6 seconds later. It's a few hundred frames difference between that still image and the one I'm about to show. And it's a little bit further back, but you can see he's turned his head. And look, that thing is gone. You can see this one's face a little bit better. Those leaves are gone, and the hand is gone. And now you can see the shoulder really well back here in the zoom out. But turned its head down because pan back, there it is. This is a leaf in front that was there before, but it's in a different position. This one's gone completely. Now, we were suspicious that they were doing this, that they would take a stick with leaves on it and hold it in their hand and put it in front of their face. If not, they would hold it or just get the bushes or something in front of them. Now, look at this guy in front of him. People think this is his mouth open, but it isn't. This is this other guy right here, or girl, or whatever, that's still in front of him that moved. Now, see where that face was or whatever that was there? It's gone. It's backed up more behind the tree, but you can still see this looks like hair. But
I can see all of that. You can see all the facial features on that.
Sure,
Especially
but
on
his
that
face
first one.
his face is green, and people have issue with that, and I understand why they do. And we have a couple of explanations for why we think this is happening. Light diffusion off the foliage on white skin with oil covered all over it is the strongest possibility that we have. Or they're if they'll put stuff in front of them to hide, they'll put something green on their skin to look like the bushes.
I'm just gonna be honest with you, just like how you have those certain types of octopus at the bottom of the ocean, and they're able to completely camouflage themselves to the exact same color of whatever sand or moss or rock formation or seaweed formation is around them. I feel like they have the ability to do that too, like iguanas, lizards, and stuff
Sure.
like that. I think that they have that ability.
Absolutely.
I've seen this before, and I've actually seen some of that with Dogman as well. They're able to take on those colors and those shapes and forms so much so that a lot of times you don't even know that you're looking at one of these creatures. You think that you're looking at a tree stump or the tree, and it's just crazy when you look at that because for the untrained eye, it makes it hard to understand that you're actually looking at one of those creatures in real time. So I've heard a lot of people say, well, I've been hunting all my life, or I've been in the woods all my life. And if you would think I would have seen one of these things, well, no,
Right.
because you don't know what you're looking for. Number one. Number two, you don't believe it. So you're not even thinking about that. Number three, if you're out there hunting in the woods, you're hunting and you're looking for deer or whatever you're hunting on the ground. A lot of the times people don't realize that for Dogman, I know for a fact, they are not, a lot of times they are in the trees, like up in the tree.
This is what I say. Of course, I talk to these people all the time, especially hunters. And real quick, welcome, Tracy Plummer. And there was someone else joined real quick, along for the ride. Thank y'all so much for joining us. I'm going to start putting out a lot more. At least once a month, I'm going to do a show for you guys on Saturdays. And we got about 8 questions start up here that we'll get to here shortly. I don't have a time limit if you don't. I usually do this show for an hour, but if you want to stay longer, that's fine with me. We'll at least get those questions out of the way.
Okay.
But
you got a celebrity in the audience right now too. Scott Carpenter just came in and said hi to
everybody. Hey Scott, how you doing, buddy? Good to see
Scott.
you.
That's exciting.
Exactly. Who doesn't love Scott Carpenter? the what I tell people when I talk to them, because they'll say, well, I've hunted my whole life, I've been in the woods, if something like was out there, I would have seen it. And I just tell them, look, you're assuming an awful lot about a creature you don't even believe exists. They think
Exactly.
that if this creature exists, they should be able to see it up walking around through the woods. And that's just not the behavior that we noticed. They're hiding.
Mm-hmm.
I think they spend probably 95% of their time on the ground, in the bush, embedded in the environment, just in where you're not ever going. If they're watching you, they may be watching
Mm-hmm.
you through one hole in the leaves. And for most people, I think what happens is when they go in the woods, these creatures just get further and further back away. They get far enough away where
Mm-hmm.
they can still see you, still keep an eye on you, but you're never going to know they're there. You may get a glimpse of a shadow or something and just turn and look, or hear a twig move. Something sounds like a squirrel, probably weighs 800 pounds, is out there. So those are the things that I say to to those people that you do a little bit of research. I had a
Absolutely.
guy just yesterday. I had a guy that I worked with. Someone was saying they watched the show the
Mm-hmm.
other night. A friend guy that I worked with, he said, "What show?" And they got talking about it. He said, "Oh, Bigfoot doesn't exist." I said, "Oh, okay." So in all of your extensive research, that's what you've determined. And looking into the subject and looking,
Yeah.
looking at all the encounters and all the preponderance of evidence that's out there, that's your conclusion. Oh, well, no,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, of course not. That's not it. I was like, okay, well, just don't speak. And they had one guy tried to make fun of me one time, and that didn't work
No.
out. Didn't work out well for him. I think I
No.
made him. I think I made him feel bad. I just
Well, you
what I
should have though.
well what
I
I
don't
say
like
to
it.
welcome Miss Rhonda Williams to the Bigfoot Odyssey family. What I said to him was, I said, would you make fun of a soldier coming back from war that had post traumatic stress? I said, because there's tens of thousands of people out there right now that won't go back in the woods, that have nightmares, that have to have therapy because they ran into these things. Now, do you have
Mm-hmm.
anything else to say about them? And he just kind of dropped his head and took a couple steps back. So, and I felt bad after that. So I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. That was a little strong, Carrie. Don't do
Well, I
that
mean, he
anymore.
was kind of strong with you too. Like that's when people
Yeah.
start to make fun of or discount your experience, and it's like, you know, just like somebody who believes in ghosts or anything else that's out there, the jinn. And so I would never discount anybody's experience or encounter just because I haven't seen it. I've always been open minded to this kind of stuff, but people just don't realize. I think when it comes to Dogman and Bigfoot, I think that for whatever reason, I do feel like that for whatever reason, there are certain people in this world who they gravitate to, who ha-
Could
pretty
be.
much some people have habituated them to going out and feeding them and gifting them and stuff like that, or ones that come around and just don't really do them any harm and just kind of watch. But I kind of look at that to some degree like I feel like if they want you to see them, then you'll see them. Sometimes I feel like you catch them by accident if you're just rounding a corner. I don't think that there's always going to be a sign. I don't think that the woods always go completely silent or that you're always going to smell something foul first before you see them. I just don't think that's what it is. But I do think for the most part that they do try as much as possible for the most of them to stay out of sight. I don't think that they really want to be bothered with us. Now, I think if you're out there and you're hunting or fishing or whatever you're doing, camping, and you coming close to their cave or wherever their dwelling is, and they've got young in there, then yeah, I feel like those are the times that you're going to get bluff charged.
There you go.
Or,
Exactly.
so
Like
yeah,
any other, it's the love of the mother bear that gets you bit, or
absolutely.
eaten or whatever. So I don't think it's any different in that respect. And I don't think they they care too much for us, but I don't think they're fully indifferent. I don't think they can afford to be, because we are terrible as a species. We're just bad. We're bad for the environment. We're just not good stewards of the earth. Uh, I mean, as a whole. Of course, there's the exception. There are plenty of
Hmm.
people out there that are, but as a species, we destroy. We do. We tear down. We don't we don't not conform. The word I'm looking for. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm so tired. I've been out in the sun all day. We mold our environment around us to fit make ourselves comfortable. And I think these creatures uh, are more symbiotic relationship with the earth than we do. So I don't think they can afford it to be indifferent to us. So I think they have to watch us at least for their own safety, because we're probably the biggest threat to them out there. Not that I think we're that big of a threat to them, really. But we do have 8 questions. You want to get to these right quick?
Yes, and I was going to say real quick too. I think that's part of the reason that they watch us like that, Carrie. Also, is because they want to see what we have, what we're doing, and then I've heard a lot of people say, and I'll leave you to the questions after this, but how they seem to know what phones and guns are, like
Absolutely.
they will shy away. So
100%.
that's kind of interesting and strange.
Yeah, I got yelled at or huffed at. Oh yeah, absolutely. When I saw that thing and I'm holding my gun like this, I got like a boat paddle. I have my left hand down on the grip and my right hand up over the butt like this. Like I wanted this guy to know I wasn't going to shoot at him. Don't shoot at me. I'm not going to shoot at you. So this is the position I'm frozen in, leaning up against this tree. And when I saw it, as soon as I saw it, and I realized what I thought it was, and was aggravated and upset, when I started to move my hand down just to get it on the grip, that's when he and just came at me like, oh, no. I took it as a no. You're not going to do that. Don't even think about that. And that was kind of the beginning of the end of me falling apart, essentially, in the midst of that. Yeah. And it took a long time for me to put myself back together. I've got Miss Pam wrote a poem for me. And I'm going to read this to you guys here in just a little bit. At the end, I'll read Miss Pam's poem she wrote. It's very nice. I better get it and send it to myself real quick. And again, for those of you that are joining us late, Miss Pam lost her brother today. So again, thoughts and prayers and our condolences to Miss Pam. If I can find it. Oh, there it is. I'll read this at the end tonight instead of my usual idiot dumb words that nobody listens to anyway.
Well, I like it.
Take me but a second.
I need to start getting together like that. I think it's pretty.
Well, I get to writing things down, and I was like, this kind of sounds preachy. I don't know if I need to be doing this or not. And I just want to say that I know I opened up a can of worms the other night talking about flat Earth and all that, because I don't believe the Earth is flat. I think it's a globe, but I don't. If you believe the Earth is flat, it's fine. It's not. It doesn't hurt anything to me if you think the Earth is flat. It's fine with me. So I didn't want anyone to think I was disparaging someone because they thought that. I just think you're wrong. That's all.
I'd like for somebody to discuss inner Earth. I'd like to hear more about that.
I think there's a lot more evidence for that. For a hollow Earth than there is the Earth actually being flat. Okay, Miss Rhonda Williams says, "What do you think the metallic sound is?"
All right, Rhonda. So I still don't know, but the other than myself, Martin Groves and Dark Woods, also known as Steven Seagal, the three of I don't know about Martin, but I do know that me and Dark Woods came to the conclusion that we think it's a portal opening or a door. When I interviewed Martin Groves, he's the author of The Beast Between the Rivers. He had his encounter at the Land Between the Lakes, and I think that's between Tennessee and Kentucky. So during his encounter, he said that he heard this loud metallic crash, but he also explained it also at the same time somewhat sound like, can't remember, he called it like a shipping yard or something like that, with like one of these large metal gates or doors or whatever opening for a ship or something like that. It almost sounded like a door opening, he said. So in my mind, the only thing I can come up with, and I can't make sense of it right now, I do know that I told y'all that I heard the loud metal crash. There's a crash and there's a scraping sound, but the crash, I've only heard that twice. One time, the last time it happened was in March or April, whatever month it was that Coonbo came to my parents' old property and went back there with me. And right before that loud metallic crash occurred, we got the hair stood up on both our arms. We're back in these woods. Kumbo said, I mean, we looked at each other and I said, "Do you feel that?" And he said, "Yeah, we're being watched." He got creeped out. Then all of a sudden, I got creeped out too. The next thing that happened, loud metallic crash out of nowhere. There was no reason, no explanation at all for why that loud metallic crash. It sounded like if you take that a large, huge. The best way I know how to describe it. That's the biggest thing I can think of, other than if you take a train, railway car, and you take that and lift it up thousands of feet in the air and drop it down all the way down to the ground in concrete. That's how loud this is. So, only thing I know to say for that is a portal. I mean, I don't even know what else to call that. There's no
Right.
reasoning or rationale for it. It's
A
weird.
doorway, an opening, a tear in a dimensional space time, whatever you want to call it. I hear you.
Loud.
I hear what you're saying.
Loud, disturbingly loud. Like you're thinking, like, is the bottom getting ready to drop out?
But you didn't see any of this. You just heard it, right?
I heard it. Me and Kumbo, we both looked. He said they don't want us back here. Kumbo only lives like 45 minutes away from where my encounters were.
Really?
So yeah, like yeah, he's actually been out there. He went back in those woods with me, and he actually found something very interesting that I didn't even tell him about. That trail that I told you about where the dog man was standing on with its back to me that night when I pulled up to that curve. I didn't tell Kumbo, so this is at the beginning of that trail. I didn't tell him at that time that this is the very tree that this dog man was standing in front of before it headed further back into those woods. I didn't tell him that. I didn't think to tell him that. I didn't really think it was that important at the time. I just wanted to show him the pictures and where this particular one was standing, not the one from that first night, because I didn't have a picture of the one from the first night. But I wanted to show him the German Shepherd dog man where it was standing. That was later after that first sighting encounter. But when we got to that spot right there where that tree was, the dog man was standing that night. He said, "Oh wow," he said, "a sentinel tree." And I don't know if I brought this up on the last show or not, but I said, "What is a sentinel tree?" And he parted those branches of that tree. And he said, "You see this?" He said, "You see how this bark here is completely worn off of these branches?" And there was absolutely no bark. It was slick. It was clean. He said, "This is where something big." He said, "That's basically where they sit and perch and watch everything that's going on." And there have been times before when I had taken binoculars and looked at that bush, because I call it a bush because the way it's shaped. It's a tree, I guess, but it's just shaped. It's rounded and it comes down at the bottom like an umbrella, almost like at least 20 people, humans, adults, can fit underneath it. It's that perfect. It's that perfect. But so I'm gonna assume that probably about 5 or 6 full size dog man can fit under there. It's huge, but I call it a bush because it's rounded at the bottom. It's just an
Right.
umbrella. You can't see underneath it. But he said that was a sentinel tree, and I didn't even tell him that that's where the thing was standing at that night. But not too far from that, a little further down the path, that's where that loud crashing noise happened.
Kumbo's been doing it for so long. I think there's probably very little that he's not going to notice in any
Right.
woods. If they're around, he's probably going to notice the signs for it. Miss
hmm
Diane Fowler wants to know, question, where did you see the dog man? Where was it?
This was in North Alabama. It's Diane. That's in North Alabama, to be exact, Limestone County.
We covered that question too, right there. There you go.
Limestone County. And the last pictures that I got of some type of weird creature, I'm not even going to call it a dog man. I'm not going to call it a Bigfoot. I don't know what it was. Didn't see it in real time. Looked at the pictures, and to this day, I still don't know what this one creature is. It's extremely black. It has, like what Carrie mentioned earlier, this light gray or leathery gray face. I can't really tell if it's got a snout. I lightened it up as many times as I could. This thing is weird. Some people said goat man. I don't know what this is. Dog man, pup, crouched down. It's weird. I don't even know what to make of it. But I do also have footprints from last year that I got captured while I was back there as well.
Yeah, no, I'd love to see that stuff.
Oh yeah, I'll send them to you.
Here's a question from Joaquin Capiro. I hope I said that right. If I didn't, forgive me. Miss Bettina, did you notice any foul odor like when people come across Sasquatches? Sasquatches is
No, I didn't. I never noticed any foul odors because the time, like the first encounter I had, I'm in the car, all the windows are up. That first encounter. The other encounters, I always was either in the backyard playing with my little dog and letting her run around, and they are just on the other side of the chain link fence behind me in the tree line. Like they wouldn't be far back. Like literally, if I were to climb up the other side of that fence, cross the ditch, and take about 15 steps, I'm face to face with them when they would be there. And the majority of the time they were. They never approached or gave off that. So I don't know if that foul odor is a defense mechanism with them to keep people at bay or what that is. I never smelled it because maybe if I'd been back there on the back, no, I didn't have that close up face to face encounter with it where I'm that close. And I don't think maybe you have to be that close for it. But no, I never smelled anything. They usually stayed at a safe distance and watched.
Right. Well, I've smelled it. At least what I believe the Sasquatch smell is in Florida anyway. And I've probably smelled it a dozen times at this point, but it's never like a continuous thing. It's fleeting. Maybe 5-6 seconds is at the longest, but it is so bad. It's just the worst. Stale urine and damp old bar rag mixed together. It's very musty, very musty smell. Tony Lombardo wants to know, is the dog man's legs and feet like a human or digitigrade like a canine?
The dog man so I've heard, I'm gonna tell you about mine, but like for the dog man that I've seen, the one that was standing out there that night during that first encounter or first sighting, that one was not behind trees or anything. It's out full body out in the open. So that one, I can tell you that it had the canine style legs, or some people call it the backward bended leg. It's not. It's just like you stand your dog up on its hind legs. It has that hock that kind of rounds in the front, and the foot is kind of like a high heel shoe, like how a woman wears a high heel and the foot is down at an angle like that. That's what that one's foot was like. And I also have one that's standing upright in a tree. It's charcoal gray body, light gray snout, turned sideways. So you're looking at it from a sideways profile, but you can see the entire body from head all the way down to the toe. Only part that you cannot see fully is that going across its waist is a branch with leaves on it, but directly below that branch with leaves, you can see the lower pelvis area, then the hocks, the thighs, and the feet. You can see everything. I call that one the wolf or the husky because of its coloring. But yeah, so both times that I've seen them full body, then yeah, they had that type canine style leg.
I've heard them both ways.
Yeah, I've heard of that
that
too.
the dog man can have it either way. This is Miss Dorothy Wade. Are you ever going to allow the rest of us to view the crypto etc for free? You know what? And I put it up for our members to watch the very first episode of Impossible, but I paid for that. And I know that sounds weird. Well, you're paying for something that's yours. No, it's not actually just mine. We have Bigfoot Odyssey. Mark has Crypto Reality. Together, we created a website for Impossible, and we do those films. And that's what we use to continue to do the travel. So it's $3.29 to watch the film. And it's an hour long or like 50 minutes long. And it's got some of the best evidence in it you're ever going to see. The whole banner clip is in there. And the link is in the description if you guys want to watch it. But I did pay for the members, 440 members. Every single member we have watched it. And it was that came out of my part of what that is, to go to Mark. So maybe eventually we'll put those things out there, but you get the Odyssey. You're going to get the same thing you always got from us for free. The story. We go there, we tell the story. That's what you're going to get. We do the investigation on the back of it, and we put it on the website. If you guys want to help us continue to do it, then that's where you can go and put your $3.29 donation. And you don't just get access to the film, you get access to a lot of stuff on the website. when you do that. A lot of behind the scenes. I'm actually putting together a little series clip called cuss words because when Mark and I are out there, some cuss words go to flying, and it's all in context, and it's just for funny. It's all it is. It's funny stuff, and it'll be bleeped out. But it's not something you want the kids to listen to, obviously. But
Absolutely.
you're going to get that too. So yeah, we're real people. We do when things happen. What the blank was that? Those
Oh
kind of
yeah.
things. That's you'll get all that stuff. So there's more coming. But we definitely appreciate the help. There's no way we could do it any other way. I'll probably still do it, whether we make a dime off of it or not. And it's not about getting rich, though I would love to. I would hope 1 million people watch it. That's just that much more we can put back into equipment and getting as good a stuff as we can do it. But I know that's a long-winded explanation for it. But I don't want you guys to think I'm just keeping anything from you for nothing. I've got a partner in this, and he's sacrificed a whole lot to do this with me, and it wouldn't be fair to him for me to just put his work out there. It's our work together, but his work too out there for everybody for nothing. But I do think eventually we'll start putting them out there for people to see. So I think we've got one more here. This is John. Oh, it's not even a question. Dr. John. I know you're not a Dr. John, but I'll call you a doctor because that's just going to be my name for you now, Dr. John Schleifer. Looking forward to the new stuff. Absolutely. I hope you guys are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting to what I caught in Arkansas because some of the stuff that Mark caught is going to blow you away. We've got this one right here. And before we get out of here, I'll show you guys what Mark caught. Yep, what Mark caught. I'm going to do this for y'all right now. And when you watch the clip, it's pretty incredible. Oh, dadgummit. I thought it went in there, but it did not. There it is. Okay. It's a full clip, and he's walking and talking and saying, I think I'm seeing one. He said, I think I'm seeing one right now. I'm pretty sure I'm catching one on camera. And he stops, and he's scared to death. You can tell he's freaked out because he's up the hill. We had just heard a tree fall, a huge tree. You could hear it. It was 200 yards away from us. We didn't know how far it was until later, but it was 200 yards away. And it was so big, I couldn't bear hug it. It was that big.
Oh, my God.
And we heard it fall. I mean, crash. And 5 minutes later, we're out there. Mark goes up the hill. Paul and I go across the creek and over to where, because I was going to see where the tree fell. And when I turned around, I'm filming, trying to find this tree, and I'm filming Paul, and all of a sudden you hear two loud knocks. Bow, bow. Mark said he thought it was gunshots, but it's not any season first. There's no one else out there, and it didn't ring out like gunshots. It was tree knocks, or it was whatever they do with their mouth or their hands or however they do it. It was that, and I caught that on film too. And Paul stopped, and he just kind of went. He did his head like this. Said, "Did you hear that?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I just caught that on camera." But this is while he was up there. This is what he caught, and I'm gonna do it where I can point things out to you guys because that's just kind of how I like to do it. This is just one clip of it, but there it is. It's between this V, and I know it looks like the same color as the bushes, but if you give it a critical look, you can tell that it's behind the bushes. You see this nose here, eyes here, and this is a leaf in front of it. This is all leaf. That's all you see is this. But when you watch the clip, Mark probably moves 15 feet, and this face never changes. It's just sitting there watching him. And what you can see out here, you can see this outline of black, this darkness, which I think is
disturbing.
His hair. Yeah, it is absolutely disturbing, and it's hard. I know you guys don't have any context. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll give you.
Did you have your mouse over that? Because I see exactly what's there. I mean, you can see the two black pits for eyes right there, y'all. On either side of that, there's that leaf coming down across, like at the forefront of the camera, the leaf is coming down across like the brow ridge area, the forehead and the brow ridge. Two
Yeah.
black pits for eyes. Then the nose sits like right in the middle of that, and you can see the upper lip.
I didn't mean to pull that down, but let me show you this one.
That was very interesting.
This is in the
Scary, too.
beginning. This is in the beginning of the clip, and you see those leaves are over here. So he moved. Those leaves that it was between are over here to the right now. This is where he started. This was initial, but you can actually see eyeball now. See the nostrils a little bit better, but you see its bush all in front of it. It's just poking its face through there, watching Mark. And you can look all through here. You're not going to see anything else remote. Maybe there's this right here, but that's just pareidolia up there.
So it was further over to its left before.
Yeah, well, he's walking.
Over
This is a clip, a video, and these are just the clearest frames we could pull out of it. He's shooting with an Osmo, and it's probably 40 yards away from him, but it's behind these bushes. It's not a part of these bushes. It's behind the bushes. And like I said, nostrils here. I don't know how well y'all can see my cursor. Zooming in as close as I can get it.
It's
but
good.
You can see eyeball here now in this clip. But when you see the clip, and you'll get to see that in the Impossible.
That's very disturbing.
In the next episode of Impossible that we're putting together, but I haven't even gotten close to looking at any of my images, so I've got no idea what I captured. I know when we were walking through that creek bed, we walked all the way up the creek bed, probably a half a mile, and we're looking up these hills on either side of us, right? We would go a ways, 100 yards or so, and we knew we were being followed. We could hear we were being followed. We would stop and film at our 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock straight behind us, because if they're going to follow us, we figured that's where they're going to be. So I don't know what I captured. And Mark's still going through his footage. We had the cameras going all the time. And that's the thing about filming constantly, is if you're going to catch anything, you got to have the camera on first, but you're going to have a ton of footage to go through.
Absolutely.
We scrub every single frame. So it's time consuming. So not only is it us traveling, hundreds, thousands, 1,000, 1,500 miles from Mark, hundreds of miles, sometimes 1,000 plus miles. It's a lot of time, a lot of energy, just getting it done. But on the backside, getting it edited and put together and try to make it, meaningful and keep it linear and, make it make sense, palatable for someone to watch, and at least be entertained to a degree, but get some kind of information out of it for themselves is what we're hoping people get out of that. But
I have one question for you, Carrie. How for the, I guess, average person that's out there, or researchers, even any random person that's taking the pictures and going out. So how do you suggest that people differentiate between pareidolia versus when you're actually seeing a face? How do you
we have criteria. We have a set of criteria that we use. We're looking for a particular bone structure. It has to have symmetry, facial symmetry. We look for, can you see any more of the body around it? And is it a part of the bush? If it looks like it could be a part of the bush, it gets thrown on the floor, even if we think it might be a Sasquatch. There are so many things that y'all don't see that we use just for the research. We can see it because, like I said, it's like learning to read the x-ray. Once you learn what to look for, you can see it pretty good. But am I going to have to sit and defend it all day? I don't want to do that. I've been through that already. Not doing it. So we try to put the best stuff we can out there. But if it doesn't meet those criteria, it goes on the floor. If it's not convincing enough to us, it's definitely not going to be convincing enough to anybody else. But we've been out there. We're there. We hear them. We smell them. We find their tracks. You should see the 18-inch track, 9 inches across the toe, 5 inches across the heel. Beautiful track that we cast.
Oh,
it is insane. It shouldn't be. It should be common knowledge. It shouldn't be incredible at all.
Absolutely.
But when you follow those punch holes and you just get lucky and get to a spot where it's not quite so soft, but still soft enough to make that perfect track, they left and got the material and came back to cast this thing. You guys are going to see it. It's going to be in the Odyssey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So what's doing that? What we're showing you is what we think is doing that. And when you can differentiate and separate what this is from the rest of the bushes with some direction, then if I can do that, that's what I'm going to put out there. So I'm going to be showing again. We've come to the end of our hour. I'm going to read that in this poem that Pam wrote for us here in a little bit, but I want to thank you, Miss Bettina, and you are absolutely welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much.
Maybe calling you back soon, but Crypto Normal Encounters with B. Moss. Go subscribe right now. She has a great show. When do you do your show?
Well, I don't do them every Fridays. I was on a kick, but I kind of got, I'm not going to say burnout. Like, you sometimes just need a break.
It's hard to do.
So, like, but I do my shows on Friday nights at 7 Central, sometimes 7:30, but 7 Central. I usually make announcements. If you're not subscribed to the channel, the Facebook group is Crypto Normal Encounters with B. Moss, and the channel is also the same name, Crypto Normal Encounters with B. Moss. I do have some amazing guests coming up for the show, and so that's when I do my shows. Every now and then I will do pop-up shows as well, like just random shows with a guest on, just as a surprise. But yeah, so Friday nights.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And again, just remind everyone, this Friday nights, Kyle Connolly is going to be on with me and Brad at 9:00 p.m. Central, talking. He's got some really incredible encounters. He's going to be here with us Friday night. Saturday, 8:00 for members only. 50 Bigfoot images. Probably going to see some stuff you've never seen before from me. So hopefully get to see all you members there. Then again, Miss Bettina, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to read this poem that Pam wrote. She wrote it for me, but wrote it about me and Linda. And I just thought it was cool. It's called A Better Man. And it goes like this. I went to the woods almost every day, thinking to myself, I'm nobody's prey. Then one day, my life was turned upside down when I encountered something that I thought should have never been around. After that day, with the help of my wife, I knew what I had to do. I needed to help other people that has experienced what I had gone through. So that's what I did. I started a show. I never would have imagined how fast it would grow. Until the day we are told the truth, this lie will never end. But talking and spreading awareness is a battle we can win. My platform is integrity, awareness, and honesty. The platform is called Bigfoot Odyssey. The day of my encounter, I'm not going to lie. I actually thought I was going to die. I guess on that day, God had a better plan because of that day, it has made me a better man. And I just thought that was cool. It was awesome. She makes it rhyme. She said, there's not a lot of stuff that rhymes with Odyssey. And I was like, yeah, I know, you're right. There's not. But I just thought it was really cool. Very sweet of her to do that. And true. All of it. It's a perfect sentiment. And
That is cool.
Just so great, Pam. And really, my heart goes out to you, dear. I know you losing your brother today was a big hit for you. If you happen to see this, we're here for you, whatever you need, and just let us know. So thank you so much for that. And everyone, thank you for joining us here on Bigfoot Odyssey. This was a researcher report, kinda, I suppose. But hopefully we get to see you guys here back Friday night, 9:00 p.m. Central. Kyle Connolly is going to be here with us talking about his encounters. And then Saturday at 8, 50 Bigfoot images for you members only. Thank you so much, Miss Patina. We hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Carrie.
Y'all go check out her channel. It's really good. She does such a good job there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carrie. And I'll be reaching out to you because I got to have you on the show too. And I got some other stuff to talk to you about with the cryptid stuff. But thank you for having me on again. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Be happy to come on. You just let me know when.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Good night, y'all.